that it matters.
Nick, this isn't a band.
But I'll miss you.
We need to record.
I didn't love you.
What?
But I kinda liked you.
That's something.
I miss you.
Okay. Nick?
Not as much as other people who really loved you and wanted you to stay alive. I miss you.
Okay.
I miss you.
Nick, let's record.
Well, then, hey, welcome to another episode of Not That It Matters. I'm your host, Nick Lanham, and with me, as always, is Nick Lanham, my other co-host.
Yes, I'm also Nick Lanham.
Okay, he's Alex Lanham. But
Alex Lanham.
We've got hitched.
We tied the knot.
Yeah. he finally bought the cow. I mean, he was two-timing the milk. We know that, but what's up, Brandy?
You can stick your head up Nick's ass to see a T-bone steak.
But you can. But wait,
Well, wouldn't you just rather ask Nick's dad about it?
Yeah,
That
I
makes
guess.
sense.
Yeah, I guess so.
That makes sense.
Yeah, all right.
Well,
Okay.
this is a podcast.
Yeah, so this is a comic book podcast, and of
we talk
sorts.
comics.
We were having a tough time figuring out how to classify it on like iTunes and Spotify. Like we couldn't find the right genre that really classified what we were.
Yes.
Originally we were comedy, but I don't know that we were like a comedy podcast.
Yeah.
So then what we moved to?
I think. I don't know. Why does it matter?
Oh no, I'm just saying. I'm just talking about
I
it
think
out
we're
loud.
just doing like comic book news and shit.
No, I'm saying we were having a tough time like picking a genre on like the
Oh,
computer.
yeah.
What did you end up putting us on? Entertainment news?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe we're entertainment news. We're E.
Let me pull up.
We're Bravo.
Let me pull up the news. Yeah. We're IGN.
Of course we are.
I wouldn't mind that.
Nick, we're a network.
I know we are. Yeah, but
15101
but not that it matters.
Fairfield
Network.
Network.
What? Are you giving out our address?
Nope.
Oh boy,
I almost did.
you really did.
I got close.
In today's episode, we are going to be first. We're going to talk about a comic that Alex finally caught up on. That's one of the best of the last year. Won the Eisner, and then we're going to give you, because we know how tough comics are as a medium to break into for new readers. We're going to give you a litany of things that you can start with to kind of get yourself
A whole bunch of really good ones. Runs that are already over for some of them.
Yeah, some that have been and gone, some that are current,
Some that are current.
some that are sort of eternal.
Yeah. But yeah, just really fun, easy comics to get into. Comics that don't that aren't super like superhero-y.
Some are.
I really don't. I think I was discovering that kind of as I was reading Mr. Miracle. I like Mr. Miracle a lot.
Which is the comic we were talking about.
That's the comic we're going to talk about. Tom King's Mr. Miracle.
Yes, and Mitch Gerard's.
Yeah. Is he the artist?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to be talking about that comic, but that one it's superhero-y, but it kind of breaks the mold of what superhero comics are.
Yeah.
Because I don't really like those. I'm not a huge like
Capes and tights guy.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of them. That's probably why I like Image so much, because it's like literally like you're reading a TV show.
Yeah,
That's kind of how it feels.
They're
for
much
a lot
more
of Image.
cinematic.
Very cinematic.
Yeah. They feel like they're written by screenwriters a lot of the time.
Yeah,
They do.
Yeah, and they literally feel like they're just like ripped directly from. It's like you took like like Stranger Things, and you just took like every shot from that, and you just made that like a panel.
Yeah, anything like that. I feel like if you read a good one, especially, it should feel, because they're essentially, if you want to break comics down,
They're storyboards.
They're storyboards with dialogue, and they're you just read them that way. But as a medium, obviously, they're
Hear
much
that,
more than
Ethan?
that. Yeah,
Because that's how we try to sell it to you.
Yeah, and you didn't buy it. It took 4 hours to read one graphic novel.
Fucking nerd.
Yeah. No, it's not.
No, he's a nerd because he can't read fast
You
enough.
doofus. Man, we got him good on Instagram last night.
Fucking roasted Ethan.
I was pretty proud of. He posted a picture where he'd like done some video for a band, and he put shot out to whatever the band for having me. Like, I had a blast. So then I commented, damn, shots fired. And then I had Alex comment, and he posted,
Shooter's gonna shot, nah mean.
yeah, and Ethan said, "Oh, thanks, Alex." And then he edited his post, so then it said shout out. So then I commented, I said the same thing, right?
Yeah, you deleted your comment and you wrote, "Damn, shouts fired." You are an asshole.
Yeah, I'm an asshole.
And then didn't he text you directly? And he's like, he's like, thanks, guys.
No, yeah. Well, he said thank you to you, and then he just sent me a little snap that was like, for real.
Yeah. Oh, butthurt boy.
But you know what? We just love him. That's all.
I like how Ethan is our biggest fan, and we just every podcast shit on him.
Yeah, we do because we
Every
love him.
podcast.
Yeah, we wouldn't shit on him if we didn't love him, though.
Well,
That's a good point.
it's really gonna make me feel bad.
I'm kidding. We do. We love him.
Love you, buddy.
Yeah, dude. We can't. Hey, he's
boy.
coming out in August.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, that's what he says.
Oh, is he moving out here in August?
Yeah, we hope.
Okay,
That's what he says.
Not into this apartment.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, we might have a roommate. It sounds like that'd be kind of
We're
fun.
gonna have a roommate.
Shouts out to Andrew if he's out there listening.
Shouts out to Andrew Groom.
Shouts out.
Shouts out.
Shouts out. Shouts fired.
Shoots out to Andrew Groom.
Shoots fired.
What does suck about that though? We're gonna lose our podcast
studio. Yeah, this is the room that we're using right now. Is
It's gonna be a human being's room.
Dylan, if it makes you feel any better, you leaving has given us one room in which we can make a podcast. We wish you were still here, but
It has made it way easier.
has making.
Shut up. I just barrel through it. It's made it way easier to record.
Oh yeah, well yeah, we have a dedicated room just to the podcast,
all set up.
It's just Dylan's old furniture and then us recording a podcast with his mattress and stuff in here.
Well, it's literally like it's like, well, we have to use the room.
Yeah, well, somebody should.
It's a free room.
Yeah, he would want it. He would want that for. He's not dead, I know, but he would want that for us.
He would want that for us.
We're honoring his memory that way.
It was in his last will and testament.
Yeah.
Of his apartment.
Which is weirdly something he wanted read while he was living. At the age of 28 or whatever he is. We love you, Dylan. We miss you.
Dude, it'd be so funny to get wills made right now. We should definitely do that.
I think I'd be really disappointed because I would be like,
you have nothing to give away.
well, I'd put my comics in first, and then and they would be like, okay, that's worth a lot. What else do you have? And I'd be like, guitars. I have those. You don't. You have nothing. I'm thinking about it. You have nothing really worth it.
I have some comic
Your
books.
car's on lease.
My car, it just goes back to the dealer.
You leave Brandy to debt. You leave it to her too.
When you die, does your debt have to get taken? Like somebody have to take your debt?
I don't know that. I feel like in some ways probably. Like if you're married, I bet your wife has to deal with your debt.
100%.
Or like husband or partner or whoever.
Yeah.
But I would imagine like if it's just like if you're like a single parent or like
does my mom have to pay off my credit card?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that you've accepted you are going to die, so you're worried about what's going to happen. And that your mom's going to outlive you.
Dude, I'm a ball of anxiety, of course.
Yeah, and
The men in my family die young.
Shouts fired to Lori. You're going to outlive your son. We already know that, but not your other child.
Yes.
They will outlive both of you.
Yes, of course they will.
Shouts fired to Meg.
Shots fired, Meg.
Yeah, shouts fired. Shoots out.
Apparently they got their hair dyed, and I haven't seen it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's according to Brandy.
What color?
Brandy, apparently blonde. Eyebrows as well.
Right
like
on.
a real weirdo.
Is that something they've been wanting to do for a while?
I don't know.
No.
I haven't talked to them in a while.
Oh, well, you're a good sibling.
When was the last time you talked to Jessica?
Yesterday.
Damn it.
She texted me.
What did you say? Did she say, I hope you found God in California?
Oh, no, I know. She asked me what my Disney Plus login was. And then we were talking about Boy Meets World.
Oh, okay.
We were talking about Boy Meets World. How great
Well, I mean,
it
at
was.
least my sibling's not using me.
I use her for Spotify, so she uses me for Disney Plus. I feel like and you know how much I use Spotify, so
That's fair. Yeah,
I feel like I get more from that than she does.
Okay.
I don't know. She's super into Boy Meets World.
Okay.
Should we talk about Mr. Miracle?
Yeah, let's talk about comics.
So Mr. Miracle is the I would say sort of culmination of a beautiful working relationship between writer Tom King and artist Mitch Gerads. They'd worked on a chunk of Tom King's early run of Batman. Mitch Gerads did some of the art on that, and it was great. He really did some of the defining early work that would show that this big run, this epic of Tom King's was going to be a Batman and Catwoman series more so than just Batman.
Okay.
And so in doing that, DC offered them, the option to do another comic, like a single sort of limited series, and they did Mr. Miracle, which at the outset most people were like, the new god, like Mr. Miracle, like who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
And
I get why people would be like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Because
that's also why they chose him.
Yeah, it's a very weird comic, but it's just a 12-issue run. It's very succinct.
And it only works for
very
him.
weird. Yeah. Well, I was just looking at the art again, And how old is Mitch Gerads?
He's probably 40 something.
Probably 40
Or
something.
Tom King. Who are you talking about?
Because the art in this is almost like it's like a new version of like the Silver Age of comics, where it's the like what's that style of comic book painting where it's like dots?
Oh, isn't like it's not pointillism.
It's if
I know
you've
what
seen
you're
like
talking about,
old
yeah.
school classic comics where
You
it's
can
like
see the dots in the background
boom,
if you really look
kapow.
close. Yeah,
yeah, and it's just like old school classic comics.
Golden Age comics.
It's like a new version of that. It's like a new modern era version of that, which I like a lot.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
interesting.
It's very like it's very sort of like sporadic pencils that some are like it's a good combination of like sort of like I forgot what it's called, where it's like a mixture of busy and very like empty at the same time. Like it can be both at equal points.
So it's minimalist and it's also the opposite of minimalist.
Yeah, there's like I think there's a term for it, but basically but we're getting into like the weeds of the art before. Basically, what I was going to say is
before the story.
Yeah, the story. Well, and before obviously the art is telling the story too.
Yeah.
But basically the point of what I was going to say before is that these two had already had this like relationship, and people were really anxious to see them do more. And so they're doing Mr. Miracle. Now that they did Mr. Miracle, and it like was, I would say it's at the peak now. It's the peak of what like a new comic can be, I think, like in terms of hype. Like Tom King went on Seth Meyers to talk about Mr. Miracle.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Like
Jesus.
Like major like famous comedians were asking to be in the book, and they got put in the book.
They did, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
in the
like
last issue.
yeah, so I mean, it can be, and Seth Meyers. It wasn't like Tom King was like, "Holy shit, I'm on Seth Meyers." Seth Meyers was like, "Holy shit, Tom King's on my show."
Well, I mean, Tom King is a fucking great writer.
Yeah,
and he did
he's
so many runs of Batman too, and
Well, he just did that massive run. It just ended. And now he's doing the new Batman Catwoman book that it's like finishing up his story.
He did all the
he did Vision before that. He did Sheriff of Babylon.
Vision, as in Marvel's Vision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what he did before he went to do Batman.
Is he exclusively signed with DC?
I would imagine so now.
Probably.
I
He's
think
like that.
so.
He's that big of a name.
I know he could go. I'm sure he can come. Sheriff of Babylon might be Vertigo. Now that I'm thinking about it, so maybe that wouldn't even
Vertigo's an
matter.
imprint of
That's what I'm
DC,
saying. That's
right?
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if it would matter. So yeah, and Mitch Gerads is he's a really talented artist, and he's gonna be. He's like a name. They're doing a new book. I think it's an Adam Strange book. That's sort of the same way as it's Mitch Gerads is doing. It's a book where the entire book is told in two complete, like, is drawn by two different people. Like so it's Mitch. So there's like a version that's like this beautiful heroic version of Adam Strange, and then there's another one that's like destroyed art and all this kind of stuff. It's
okay, cool.
And it's like telling this like dichotomy story. And I think they're going to release it where you can like read it one way, and then there's a different version of the book that's the opposite of it. So like they'll switch throughout the books, and the two, like, you can read them as both. And Tom King's writing. I forgot who the other artist is. It might be Clay Mann.
It's kind of indicative of this book a little bit.
They're similar, yeah. It's that they took another hero that doesn't really make sense to have his own book, and it sounds like it's going to be really cool. It's coming out next month, I think.
Okay, who's it written by?
Tom King.
Tom King as well?
Yeah, it's Tom
Okay.
King, Mitch Gerads, and I think Clay Mann, who worked with Tom King on Heroes in Crisis, which was beautiful art.
I thought Clayman was another superhero.
You're thinking of Clayface. He's a villain.
Okay.
You're thinking of the villain, Clayface, of Batman.
Clayman.
He's in Hush. Remember, he's Jason Todd, and then he turns into Clayface. Anyway, so Mr. Miracle, do you want to talk about the story? You just read it?
Yes. So Mr. Miracle is a real weird one.
Yes.
Basically, there's an like intergalactic war going on, and these two leaders of the war. Basically, it's God and like the devil.
Yeah.
They explain it as like the leaders of heaven and hell a couple times.
Yeah, it's the leaders of what's the new God's world?
New Genesis,
New Genesis
and
versus
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse, yeah, thank you.
But basically, to end this war, they trade sons. They basically trade like babies.
Yeah, years before the comics takes place.
Years before the comic takes place, and basically, our main character Scott Free or Mr. Miracle, is the son of God.
He's the son of the High Father.
Yeah, son of the High Father on New Genesis, and then he gets traded to Apocalypse, and then Orion is the son of Darkseid.
Yeah.
And he goes to New Genesis, and basically Mr. Miracle ends up being like tortured for like his entire life or his entire like young adult life.
Right.
He's
Like Granny Goodness.
Granny Goodness, who looks weirdly like Kathy Bates a little bit.
She does look like Kathy Bates. Yes.
He basically gets tortured by her in the pits. And in the pits, he also meets his future wife.
Yes. Wife.
His wife, Big Barda.
Yes.
Isn't that what her name?
Big Barda.
Big Barda? Yeah. And yeah, so basically
Who's the leader of the Furies?
the leader of the Furies, which is just like this like badass group of
Like special forces
psycho
women.
ladies.
Yeah. For Apocalypse.
But Mr. Miracle's like big thing like in the present day is that he's just like an escape artist.
Yeah.
He's a super escape artist.
Yeah.
As
he can
the
escape anything.
as the narrator would say.
Yeah.
So he basically is like he's like the son of a god, was tortured his entire life, and now he's David Blaine.
Yes. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
And then basically like, the whole world is coming to an end. So then he becomes like the savior to everyone.
So yeah, on New Genesis, but then on Earth, he's just like going on talk shows and like talking about being an escape artist.
He just talks about how he's famous.
And when the comic opens, he's just trying to kill himself.
Oh yes,
So that's
we've also forgot to mention
part.
that.
That's probably the most important part of the show. Of the comic.
And then he's
very depressed.
Yeah, he's crazy depressed. But he said multiple times, like or at least on the TV show, that he's like I escape everything. Everything's too easy to escape, so I wanted to escape death.
Yeah,
because he dies.
He does. Yeah,
he dies.
Yeah.
Another comic book. He dies.
He dies. Well, he dies. He
but
also
then
dies.
And then he comes back to life.
Yeah, and there's also no time to die.
No time to die.
That's it.
Yep. Billie Eilish painting.
Hi, my Bond.
Hi, my Bond.
Yes,
James. Yeah. So this comic is very interesting. There's a lot of very interesting stuff that. Okay, I'm just gonna say interesting more and more.
It's very interesting.
I love how
There's an interesting part.
I love how each issue of this comic starts.
Yeah.
Where, like, the narrator of this comic.
Oh, it's Funky Flashman.
We don't know that.
I think it is.
You think
The way he talks.
Yeah, kind of. So Funky Flashman is. You said it was a character that.
So. Yeah,
like somebody wrote to make fun of Jack Kirby,
the other way around.
Or make fun of Stan Lee.
So Jack Kirby left. You know, he and Stan Lee had a falling out, and he left Marvel, and he created the New Gods like at DC, and he wrote in a character named Funky Flashman, who is his way of like poking fun at Stan Lee.
Yeah, he says like Excelsior and
yeah. He is.
A bunch of Stan Lee
he looks like a young Stan Lee.
Yeah,
and so it's Jack Kirby's way of being like, oh, you know, fuck you, kind of.
Fuck you, Stan.
Because they still had like this respect for each other, but they also hated each other because Stan wouldn't give him, you know, like any credit for the characters he created.
Yeah,
like not Spider. I said Spider-Man, but that's the one that he didn't. But it's Steve Ditko. But you know, like all the big ones, and like it. It's a big bummer. Like, you know, like Jack Kirby's helping to create like, you know, like the X-Men and, you know, like the Fantastic Four and all these characters, and he's not getting any credit for it. And so he goes to DC and he builds the New Gods, who at the time were not very well received. People thought, you know, Jack couldn't write dialogue and that the characters weren't that interesting. But these days, Darkseid and like Steppenwolf, you know, he's the villain of Justice League and stuff like that. Like all those characters. There's a New Gods movie coming out that's written by Tom King and Ava DuVernay that she's directing.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
When is that?
When is that scheduled? Like 2022.
I think it starts production at the end of the year.
Okay.
I think.
So yeah, probably 2022.
Oh yeah, released. Yeah. So
DC films, I mean, as we know, are very CGI heavy.
Well, and they take like 30 years to film. Weirdly enough, Matt Reeves is filming right now, and it comes out next year.
Yeah,
like a normal movie. Comes out next summer. That makes all the sense in the world.
I've been seeing that GIF everywhere of like Batman sliding into his DM.
Yeah, on that motorcycle.
He just has a slow fall onto a curb.
I do. What do you think?
That's funny.
Side note: what do you think of the new Batsuit? We finally got a look at it.
I mean, if you want to see Daredevil play Batman, it'll be great.
It's not that bad.
I know it's not. I like it.
It reminds me of a lot of different like versions of Batman combined. I think they're using the one of the Kevin Smith Batman versions for the bat symbol, where it's a melted down version of the gun that killed his parents.
Yes, I think it is,
which I like.
Yeah.
People always not Kevin Smith, talking about. He always does good shit. People are always like, "Oh, Kevin Smith is like a joke," but he's really good. Like everything he does is good, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like except for Cop Out. It's really bad.
Oh, he did Cop Out?
Sorry, Kevin, if you ever hear this, I'm a huge fan of yours, but Cop Out's terrible.
It's not great.
Yeah. But you know it's terrible.
The Jay and Silent Bob movies.
Oh, dude.
Terrific.
Dogma, Chasing Amy, Clerks 2.
And I'm still new.
Mallrats. Oh,
I
dude.
haven't seen any of these.
Tusk?
I haven't
Tusk
seen,
is a fucking... That movie is even in existence. You know what it's about, right?
It's a guy with tusks.
No, it's about a guy who gets like kidnapped by a scientist who turns him into a human walrus. It's amazing.
Oh, movies are fun.
Like it's so great. Anyway, so yeah, I like the new
Matt
Batsuit
Reeves,
too.
yeah, I think it's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
It looks very functional.
Yes, he's in the early.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be in the early days of being Batman, so it makes sense.
It does kind of look like it looks like Alfred made the like spider suit from Spider-Man 1 when he's wrestling.
Oh yeah.
It's like that kind of like where it looks like it's like just thrown together.
Yeah, it looks like there's like it's like especially on the cowl, it looks like there's like cloth on the back, but the front is like kind of leather and harder. Yeah, like it looks like he doesn't even know yet that like he could be hit in the back of the head.
Yeah, it looks like it's like goggly.
Yeah, a little bit.
Goggly.
Yeah, it looks like it's goggled. Well, it looks like it's Walton Goggins.
It looks like his eyes have been goggled.
Yeah, it looks like Walton Goggles.
Yes.
So back to Mr. Miracle. So what did you overall think of it?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Well, I feel like because when you first said you were like it's pretty good, and then
I
did
did
it
say
kind of
pretty
grow
good.
on you?
Yeah,
I think it takes time to digest.
The more I thought about it, I liked it a lot. But we were saying like before we went on that little tangent about the narrator in Funky Flash Mode.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Where a lot of like this comic it's like dueling conversations where like you will have to read, like you have to be fine with like digesting and comprehending multiple conversations at the same time.
Yeah.
It's hard to do.
Yeah,
I had
it
to
is
read through
hard.
it a couple times, especially like for the narration. The narration's really funny because it like sets up the comic in an old school like 1960s like version where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
here's our hero as he's doing this thing.
Yeah.
Do-do-do-do-do. Mr. Miracle, the
Here he
super
is.
escape artist.
Yeah. He can escape anything. Death.
Yeah.
Sharks. Cages. Death.
But will he in this issue of Mr. Miracle?
Yeah. Which is how old comics used to be, obviously. Yeah.
So it's that way, and it's very fun.
Oh yeah. I like it.
But I think the real issue that sold me on this comic, it happens right in the middle where Mr. Miracle is being threatened to be executed by his brother Orion. Orion becomes the High Father.
Yeah,
Because he was raised by the High Father on New Genesis.
as like the heir to the throne.
Yeah, as the heir to the throne. Even though that he is the son of Darkseid.
Yeah, there's a point in the story, like way earlier in their stories, you know, it's probably like in the 90s or something, where Mr. Miracle and like Big Barda defect and like they're welcome back to New Genesis and everything, and like there's like a crossing over point. I don't know when. I'm not super familiar with their storylines up until that point, but
yeah, they defect, and then Orion gets like power hungry.
really power hungry.
Yeah, and he basically thinks that he's the fucking dude. Like he is like, I'm fucking God. Get out of here.
He also doesn't feel like he can like, because they're in the war to end all wars with Apocalypse at this point. And you can tell that Orion's at the point where he's like, the High Father has been killed. Like, who can I trust? And he immediately distrusts Scott Free.
Yeah.
Because
Immediately distrusts Mr. Miracle.
he was raised by like as Darkseid's son on Apocalypse. You kind of can understand.
Yeah.
I mean, you know Scott Free, so you know he's not that way. But
He thinks that Scott Free is an agent of chaos.
and there's the thing about chaos is it's fair.
But he like legit thinks that. He thinks that he's like, he's being manipulated by Darkseid, being manipulated by the enemy.
Yep.
And so he basically is like, well, I'm the High Father. I'm a god, so I will be a judge, jury, and executioner, and you're guilty.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's done in a very interesting way where it does the it basically takes him through like a logician would say, like somebody who like studies logic, where like he sets up like all these arguments where he's like, okay, no, everything is true, false, and he's like, okay, you are like the son of Darkseid, true, and he does like all like this kind of stuff, and he's like, do you distrust me? And he's like, true, yes, I do.
Yeah.
But he basically just takes them through all these steps, and he's basically like, okay, so you are an agent of Darkseid, even though you don't know. And he's like,
Oh yeah, because what's the dark side equation? That's what it's called, right?
The anti-life equation?
Anti-life equation,
Something like
is that what
that.
it's called? Yeah.
But basically this equation that Darkseid has,
That like can turn anybody against, turn anybody for him.
It's not turn anybody for him. It's basically what the anti-life equation does is it's an equation to remove all hope.
Oh,
So
okay,
basically that's how it turns them to him.
Okay, yeah.
But it does it's not exclusively what it does. It just removes hope from individuals.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, he gets he's about to be executed. And then the issue that I really liked is Scott Free, aka Mr. Miracle,
That's him.
and Big Barda go to like Orion's castle. They like break into his castle
Yeah.
just to talk to him on the day that he's about to be executed. And they're basically breaking in and going through like all these steps, but they're just talking about how they want to renovate their condo.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the entire issue. It's
Yeah.
just them talking about renovating their condo
It's
while they're like doing like the Mission Impossible cat burglar, like jumping through lasers.
Oh, and like fighting all these henchmen and well, and it's so that's sort of like one of the big themes of the. I don't want to call it a theme, but it's one of the sort of like big motifs of the comic is the idea that these real people are like humanizing these just completely otherworldly people. Like people, like you see their outfits and they're these big, colorful, like ostentatious outfits, and then but they're just normal people that just want to update their condo. Scott Free in his free time is just like when he's just like hanging out, he's wearing like Batman and Green Lantern t-shirts.
Yeah,
and
it's very
super normal.
self-referential of DC.
Yeah,
Where he's always wearing like Green Lantern stuff from the Flash.
yeah.
They have a kid together, and the kid is always holding a little Batman action
Toy.
figure.
Their kid is essentially like being raised by Funky Flashmen because they. Long story short, Scott Free ends up killing Orion.
No, he doesn't.
Or she does. Big Barda does, right?
No, nobody kills none of our heroes kill Orion. Orion. So in that issue that I was just talking about, when they're breaking through to try to find Orion, they finally like break into his like room, and he's already dead.
Oh, that's right. And then
Apocalypse had him killed. Apocalypse had his own son, or Darkseid, who is the leader of Apocalypse, the planet.
Yeah, yeah.
Killed his own son Orion because he was like the High Father of New Genesis. Yeah. So Orion is killed, and Scott Free becomes the High Father. Yeah.
So, but that's it's this. It does a great job of like using their child, using them talking about their condo. There's the great part where Alex was talking about Orion playing judge, jury, and executioner. Scott Free's just like eating a veggie tray. Like he's just
the fucking veggie tray.
Yeah.
The veggie tray is a weird motif that comes back all the time.
Yeah.
This comic, we haven't said it yet. This comic is very funny. Like darkly, like superhero-y, like hilarious. The whole conversation with the condo that we were just talking about is incredibly funny.
Very, because it's so mundane. And they're getting into these like sort of
minutia of like what an actual like new bedroom would be to the apartment.
It's just this semantics argument of like, well, like should we like pull out, like should we like turn the closet into another room or something like that? And then like, well, no, because like the closet is where we put our stuff, but we'll put all of our stuff's on the counter. But it should go on the counter, like it should go on. It's like this like chicken and the egg of like where their stuff should be, and they're just defeating these like guards in a palace.
They're like shooting people in the head.
Yeah.
And being and she's like no, our stuff goes in the closet, and he's like no, all your stuff goes in the closet. My stuff is just it's on the counter. I keep it on the ground.
Yeah, on the ground. Yeah.
He's like, I keep it on the ground in the room.
Yeah,
she's like, so basically, you're in my closet all the time.
It's great because those are like the arguments you have when you're in a relationship.
It's super dumb,
and it's you just like, so you read it and you're like, oh yeah, that's real. And they're just, and then like there's like these big explosive moments where like who do they at the end who do they fight to? Darkseid, right? They fight Darkseid at the very end.
At the end of the comics?
Yeah. He shows up and they show up to Darkseid at the end with their kid, and they...
Yeah, so...
spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers. So basically, there's another war going on.
Yeah.
And now Scott Free is the High Father. So he's leading the forces of New Genesis. Darkseid is.
Yes, he is. That's a major motif of the whole comic. Are these black? We'll explain that in a second. Go ahead.
Okay. So basically, and then Darkseid is the leader of Apocalypse. They're in like this crazy war where like millions are dying.
Yeah, on all different planets and
and then one of the last issues there is there's like a big summit where like the leaders of Apocalypse and the leaders
negotiating.
And the leaders of New Genesis are discussing like the terms of an armistice.
And it's so mundane too.
Yeah,
like
it's so stupid.
It's so funny.
But basically, Apocalypse comes back and is like, okay, we're actually going to give you all you want and then some. But the only stipulation being is that you have to give us your son, and then we will raise him here as like the heir to Darkseid's throne. So, cut to they're bringing their son.
What's their son's name?
Oh fuck,
I don't remember.
Damn it,
Doesn't matter.
Oh, Jacob.
Jacob.
Jacob Free.
Yeah.
They're bringing him to Darkseid, and they are like, "Yep, here you go. Here's our son," and then they end up stabbing him in the face.
Darkseid.
Stabbing
not
Darkseid.
not a baby.
They don't murder their kid.
No.
They do not infanticide their son.
No, they do. No, they do not. But
they kill.
They kill Darkseid.
They kill Darkseid.
So throughout the comic, it's set up in this for I would say 99% of the comic is in this 9-panel grid, or is it 12-panel? 9-panel, right?
9-panel.
9-panel per page, all equal size panels, and it's playing with the form of like how original comics used to be, where it was just a 9-panel grid.
Golden Age comics.
Yeah, Golden Age especially, and it's people like Jack Kirby and oh my God, what was
Stan Lee.
Well, no, people like Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, and I forgot the guy's name who did the Spirit. It's gonna kill me. Will Eisner, who like broke that form and showed like splash pages and people breaking out of their panels and using the panel as like part of the story and all this other stuff. And they start doing, as the comic goes on, originally they stick to that form perfectly. Like whatever happens it all happens in the panels.
Yeah.
And then as they go on, they start breaking that more and more. They keep the 9-panel grid, but things will happen through panels.
Yeah.
They'll be talking to each other across panels.
Yeah. Where instead of like each thing being like its own shot, it's like the 3 panels up top are like just one big long, like a 16:9 like movie shot, like a widescreen. And
it's beautiful because if you don't realize it, Mitch Gerrits is telling his own story through the art of like the history of comic art. And it's honestly like it's so insultingly clever that you're just like, fuck you. Like you're telling your own little side story of like, this is how comics evolved into what they've become today. And like doing it so elegantly and so beautifully that it's just like, you know what? God damn it. I hate you for it. And like, but they use this motif throughout the whole thing of Darkseid is. Like where you'll see these random black panels just pop up and just white letters and that's it in the panel. And it just says Darkseid is. And you would explain how that ends up coming to fruition at the end.
Oh, I don't think I remember.
What?
I don't think I remember how it like wraps up.
Well, it's sort of the answer to the question of like what's going to happen. What like that's the answer to every question basically is Darkseid is. Darkseid is.
Yeah.
Because he's like the looming threat over everything. He's like what's guiding the entire story. If he hadn't made them trade children in the first place, none of this would be happening. If he hadn't started these wars, none of this would be happening.
Yeah.
If he hadn't corrupted Orion, none of this would be happening. Like all of this.
And it's like, who is the main villain?
Darkseid is.
There you go.
Who's the person that created all this, who started all of this? Darkseid is.
Who's the hottest boy on the book?
Darkseid is. It's all inflection, but it's always Darkseid is. Darkseid is.
Hey, Darkseid is.
What's up? So yeah, it's so cleverly written, and it's par for the course for Tom King. He's just a master with that kind of stuff.
Did Tom King write Hush? No, that's Jeff Loeb.
Jeff Loeb, way before Tom King. That's probably back when Tom King was still in the CIA.
Tom King was in the CIA?
Mm-hmm.
God damn.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then he did all of Batman.
All this current run of Batman just ended, yeah. And then he did, Mr. Miracle. He did. He's doing the new Adam Strange thing. I think it's Adam Strange. And then he did Vision, and he did Sheriff of Babylon, and yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
He is a master of his form, I would say.
Yeah.
Hey,
he's a good writer.
it's also tough to call him a master because he's not done that much yet, really.
Well, he's like a young guy. He's like 40, right?
So in his 40s, yeah. Yeah, he's young. So is Mitch Gerrits. They're like the guys that are the problem with comics is like
I assume that all these guys are so fucking old.
a lot of them aren't. Donnie Cates is in his 20s, I think. Still.
Holy shit.
He might be in his early 30s, but he's in his 20s.
Like even
I
like
think.
Jeff Lemire. Like that sounds like the name of
He's
an
late 30s, maybe
sounds
40.
like the name of an old man.
It does, like Jeff Lemire.
Yeah. But he's a young guy.
No,
Great comic
young
writer.
guy. Yeah, Donnie Cates. Like Donnie sounds like it would be an old man too. I feel like this is Donnie Cates. You
It's
know,
Donny Osmond's son.
he kept his dad's first name.
Yeah, different last
Oh
name.
man, that'd be tough.
Donald Cates.
Donnie Osmond. So Mr. Miracle. Overall, you are a fan.
Yeah,
You
I
would
would
read-
recommend it. It's a great one for.
I think
This wouldn't be like my number one recommendation for a new comic book fan.
no. It's because it plays with the form too much.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Black Hammer's that way, too. There's a lot of them like that.
It gives you a form and then breaks it.
But you also have to kind of know comics a little bit to really get what it's
Maybe
doing.
that's why I don't appreciate it as much because I don't know a lot of like the Golden Age stuff. Like I don't know
why.
Because it is like it's very self-referential
Oh yeah.
and referential to like other comic books.
I more mean you have to understand the form. You have to have read a lot of comics to kind of understand how people can play with the form. To
Yeah.
then see somebody playing with the form. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it's the same with
idea
Watchmen.
of the form.
Like Watchmen, you can't just give to somebody right away because it's so much like a sort of like a push back against comics that if you don't know comics, you can't appreciate what it's really doing.
Yeah.
You can appreciate parts of it and a lot of it. Like, and you could appreciate
You can appreciate the writing. You can appreciate the story.
Yeah, and you could have been like, but then there's like this whole. It's like the tip of the iceberg, and then you get all of that once you've. It's sort of rewarding comic readers. There's plenty of great stuff that you can start people on. I don't want to. I don't want it to come across like because I'm listing some of our favorite stuff, but like Black Hammer, I couldn't just give that to somebody. You'd really need to have been reading comics for a while to get why Black Hammer is so special. But then there's plenty of other stuff, and so that's what we're about to talk about. Are books that we think you could give to somebody, or you, if you're listening, to start reading comics.
Yeah. So read these other books first, and then read Mr. Miracle.
And Watchmen and all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So you want me to go first?
Yeah. Sure. You can
We're
go
going
first.
to take turns. We got a stack of books here. We're not going to go into deep detail, especially because if you want to start reading it, we're not going to spoil it for you. We're just going to give you a taste.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with. I don't have the first copy. If you're listening out there, Tori, I need my copy back. I let you borrow it. But I'm going to start with a comic that we talked about in our very first episode called Saga. And Saga is this like intergalactic like space opera romance. It's funny, it's sad, it's action packed, it's like everything at once. It's written by Brian K. Vaughan with art by Fiona Staples. Most people consider it one of the best comics of Alex and I's generation.
It's great.
It's one of the best like comics that I know of ever. Right now it's on hiatus too, so if you want to come back, if you want to catch up to Saga, I think there's 54 issues out. It's a perfect time to jump on to read it. You can get all of it in trade. You can get it in like 4 different versions. You can get it in single volume trades of 5 issues. You can get it in omnibuses.
You can get it how I have it, where
In a
it's
big
like
hardcover.
10 issues in a big, giant, sexy
and
hardcover.
they're beautiful. It's like oversized. They're gorgeous
really nice
art.
printed. Yeah.
Fiona Staples' art is so. It seems like it's just so beautiful.
Yeah,
I love it.
We were talking about this not on the podcast. When I was reading yesterday, just how beautiful image books are.
Oh, they're amazing.
My big problem with Big Two stuff is they have just the most obnoxious ads in all of them.
Oh yeah.
Like one of the beginnings of a Mr. Miracle issue. So I read all of it in a big volume with all of it together, and then I read the last issue in a single issue that Nick had. And the first page of it is
An
like
ad.
comic book form. Well, it's even grosser. It's comic book. It's like a Superman comic book form, but it's a Snickers ad.
Yeah.
Where it's like character dialogue, and it's like, I fucking love stickers, dude.
They're worse now, and it's starting at the point where I really like. I really want to push back against the big two for this, where you'll be reading a current book, you'll turn a page and it's a 2-page ad. So you're in the story and it's a 2-page ad for Snickers.
Splash ad. And big two stuff, not many pages. It's like 20 pages. 22 pages of content. And like 4 of those pages are ads.
Oh, no. It's 22 pages of story. They're like 32-page books. Yeah. So 10 pages out of that are ads.
But it's like your back covers an ad.
An ad, yeah.
Usually like front inside covers an ad. Middle of the book there's an ad.
Yeah, and then there's a few sprinkled in
the book. Yeah,
and there's that Snickers 2-page one that seems to be in everything now.
Yeah,
and then you get Image.
It's gross. You have Image,
which has no ads.
Image has no ads
except for other Image books at the end.
Yes,
which is fine.
The last page is like, hey, check out these 2 fucking books that are coming out.
Yeah, like this one. Yeah.
But the best part about Image 2 is that they're also longer. All the stories are longer. Typically, aren't they?
They're usually
like
30? 26ers or 26 sometimes.
Yeah, so a couple extra pages.
Yeah, which is good.
And then no ads, which is just beautiful.
Image is to comics what like HBO is to TV.
Yes.
Where like HBO can go as long as it wants to go, and it's going to let you do whatever you want to do and tell your story how you want. And especially because of that, you get to tell way more interesting stories. The big two, you know what? I heard it said a really good way, and it's on a podcast that I keep trying to get Alex to listen to, where it's my favorite human, Gerard Way, talking, and his brother Mikey talking to Kevin Smith, and they're talking about, or no, actually it's Gerard Way a couple of years ago talking to Kevin Smith when he was writing Doom Patrol, and he was talking about how when you write, because Kevin Smith's written Daredevil and Green Arrow and Batman, and he's talking about when you write those characters, they have to look and act and say certain things, like you can't break that form very easily.
There's so much canon that like you're like, I have to make it fit into
well, and you can't have one where
boxes.
Batman's smiling the whole time and just kind of having fun. You can't have one where Superman is like murdering people. It just doesn't. You can't do that stuff. And so Image is like,
you can though if it's Man of Steel.
Well, yeah, and there's
murders a lot.
There's real side, like real tertiary stuff where you can do that, but it's very rare. Image books, you tell it how you want. You own it. It's creator owned stuff. So you tell your story the way you want to tell it. They have editors that'll guide you a little bit, but other than that, you're doing your thing. You and your team are going to make your book, and that is why Image is always going to be Image. Boom, Black Mask, TKO, those kind of places. Dark Horse a little bit more less so, but they're like sort of between the two.
Okay,
they're going that creator owned route, but they're also still like a little bit more of like a machine.
Creator owned.
Yeah. Like it's like a little bit more than Image, but a little bit less.
Okay.
Like a little bit more freedom than the big two, but a little bit less than Image. Anyway, so yeah, Image books are always going to look better, and Saga would always be my first recommendation to new readers. It's just such like a explosion.
You've given it out a lot, too.
I have, because it's such an. At one point, I used to have like 3 copies of the first trade
because you were giving them out so much.
I'd give them so I could be like, okay, here's one for you and one for you, and sometimes if people really want to keep one, I have no problem being like,
you are also, really like a comic book library. At one point you would give me like 20 volumes,
a bunch of singles and a bunch of trades, and I try to be that person that's like, trust me, like this is a medium that you might not know, but you're gonna love, and I want people to try it. And
Saga's a real good one too.
Yeah, and I just feel like Saga's an explosion of everything that comics are and can be and should be, and it's a really good place to start. So
yeah, all
right. So what's your first one?
So the first one I'll talk about is Analog.
Ooh, yeah.
Analog is Jerry Duggan,
with art by
sorry, I can't find it. I think it's David O'Sullivan. It's super cool art. This comic is really like a. Nick's trying to look at the cover.
Jordy Belair does the colors.
Jordy Belair. I like this comic because the first sentence is, I hate St. Louis.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it starts in St. Louis. But basically you find out that it's in the near future where basically there's so much digitally that everybody turns to like analog shit.
To keep secrets.
So basically what this guy's job is he basically travels around with a briefcase that just has like hard copies of information.
Of like people's personal information.
So he's basically like, he's like a cross between like an assassin
He's like the transporter.
Yes, he's the transporter. He's basically Jason Statham.
He's a better version of the transporter.
Yeah. Much better story around it too.
Yeah.
But basically it's just like an international, like high business, like conspiracy, like secret book. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what issue of the comic they're on because I started reading this.
I probably have it out there somewhere.
Oh, you probably do.
Should we talk about that?
Yeah, Nick got almost $1,000 worth of comics delivered here from St. Louis.
It's all my back issues that I've been like acquiring in my comic store.
You bought like 400 books.
Yeah, easily. Yeah. It's a lot, but it's all good shit. So it's pretty exciting. Shouts out to Fantasy Shop Scott. What's up?
Shouts out.
Shouts up. Shouts fired.
I don't have a whole lot more to say about Analog. I don't want to give anything.
Spoiling it, yeah.
I don't have anything. I don't want to give anything away. It's a very interesting. It's just a real fun, like weird story.
Definitely.
If that sounds like interesting, like a transportery, like a dystopian transporter type book. If that sounds interesting to you, I would definitely pick this up. I think there's definitely have at least two volumes out probably.
Oh yeah,
of the book. So it's really good.
Yeah, I think they got to be in the teens for sure.
Yeah,
they gotta be. They gotta be. They have to be.
Yeah. They have to be. And it's Image, so it's fucking
which is great. A lot of what we're gonna be talking about is Image. My next book is not an Image book, and it's not necessarily. It's one I just mentioned. It's one we've done a little bit of an episode on, it's one that I know I said is inaccessible. But if you want to take the dive and put the work in, and you want to get like a few comics and get this with it and try to just jump into it, I will say it's one of the best things going right now. It's called Black Hammer. It's written by Jeff Lemire with art by Dean Ormston and Dave Stewart.
Great.
It's fucking incredible.
It's one of the first things. Well,
yeah, you started early on it.
Yeah, Nick is saying like you have to, like it's inaccessible if you don't read comics. It was, I think, like the third volume of a comic that I ever read, and I fucking loved it.
True. Yeah.
It is.
I guess because a lot of the characters are recognizable now.
Yeah. Well,
the archetypes are.
Yeah. Because that's what it is. It's basically all the heroes in Black Hammer are like
archetypal,
like the cookie cutter versions of like big superheroes that you've already seen. Yeah. Like if you've seen a Marvel movie, you know, like two of these fucking characters. Like, you know them.
And we should say, if you want to learn more about Black Hammer, go back and listen to our episode about Black Hammer earlier. Yeah. And we also have another one about Saga. It's I think our first one.
Yeah.
So you can go back here more about those. But
yeah,
they're great. Black Hammer. So I think what makes Black Hammer great, and I won't spend too much time on it, but I think what makes it great is it takes all these characters who were so flat and one-dimensional when they were created because they were supposed to just be these heroes that were, these escapism heroes.
Yeah, well, their archetypes are like Golden Age heroes, right?
Yeah, Gold and Silver Age, and what you basically think of as like classic comic book heroes.
Yes,
and
like there's a Captain America type.
There's a
Captain America like / Superman.
Yeah, there's a Shazam. There's a what's it like a Martian Manhunter. There's a Thor, the titular Black Hammer.
Who's Thor?
Black Hammer. What? Why is that? It's not even funny because nobody knows. It's just funny for me.
It's just like a non-bit.
Yeah, just like who's Thor?
Oh boy, my ears got hot by how
fucking hard that bombed. Yeah, it's true. I was like, what?
Well, I was like, oh yeah, nobody else would know that.
Yeah, but you're good.
Sorry, go on.
I'm trying. And there's also, there's like robot characters, and there's all kinds of different crazy characters, and
there's like a witch character,
and it's about all these heroes from this, like Silver Age comic-y town that get transported to this random small town that they can't get out of, basically. And I will tell you that it is, what's great about it too is it's sort of poking fun at all that stuff and also putting like a major like twist on it. But it also does exactly what they did, where it has like a world now. There's all kinds of like side comics.
There's like 7 or 8.
Yeah, and they're all great. Dude,
there's
Dr. Star and the Dr. Star is one of the best things I've ever read in my entire life.
It's hauntingly sad.
So sad, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Jeff Lemire, the writer, is for my money probably the best comic book writer going.
Well, if we want to move on from Black Hammer,
We do.
My next comic is another Jeff Lemire book.
Yeah. This one's from Image, right? Yours is. Mine's
Yes.
Dark Horse. I should say.
This one is yes,
Yeah,
It's
Image.
Descender. It's an Image book. This one is. It's not really sad like Black Hammer is, because Black Hammer is incredibly sad. This one, like, all the story is sad, but it's not like
It's kind of hopeful.
Yeah,
I think it's hopeful.
Yeah, there's
an optimism to it,
yes,
especially Tim.
So basically, what this story is it's near future, or not near future.
Oh, it's distant future.
Yeah. Well, it's distant future because there's colonies and there's like AI robots.
Yeah.
But basically, it's in an age where like Mars has been colonized, and all the people that are there, like you have like these little clone robot boys that end up like becoming friends with like people buy. I don't know why I'm describing this poorly.
Yeah, wait.
So basically we follow this character, Tim 22.
Yeah, he's him
And he is a droid that basically takes care of like these rich people's kid.
Yeah.
Essentially. And you basically come to the story where he is like turned on again, and then you realize that like everybody that he's ever known is dead, and he's on a planet completely alone by himself.
Yeah, and then who's the scientist that you're following to? The
scientist is basically like, it starts out where he is the like father of modern robotics.
Right.
You find out later that he's not really all he's cracked up to be.
No.
That's all I'm going to say without spoiling it. I almost did.
Yeah, you really almost did.
But yeah, so you follow this scientist who's basically like trying to find this like solo robot that got turned on.
Tim.
Basically, yeah, Tim. But he's like turned on like basically like a dead planet.
Yeah.
Very interesting comic. It's Jeff Lemire. If you want to just keep going on the fucking Jeff Lemire train.
Yeah, we could. We have another one right here that we could go. And we should, really quick, we should say, Saga, you could catch up on easily right now. It's on hiatus. Black Hammer, it's ongoing, but it goes in these little zigzags where it's like the main storyline and then a side one, main storyline, side one. Then there'll be there's probably what, like 50 issues of Black Hammer stuff total. I think you could catch up on it pretty easily if you really wanted to. Yeah. Analog, it's still in the teens. You could catch up to that pretty easily.
Yeah,
Descender has come and gone, and now has a sequel called Ascender.
Yes.
So Descender, you could easily. It's
how many volumes is it? Like 3?
I think it's 5 or 6.
Oh, okay. That's way more than I thought.
It might be even more than that. Because I think it did like 30-ish issues. I have all of them in single. I might have one of the volumes, but so you could catch up to that pretty easily. And then the next one we're going to talk about, we'll wrap up our triptych of Jeff Lemire stuff with an ongoing book called Gideon Falls.
Oh boy.
Which is, as somebody who loves, you do too, loves psychological horror.
It's one of the best new things that I've read in a long time.
And even if you don't end up reading it, you'll be seeing it on your screens very soon because Jeff Lemire is
got picked up for a TV show, right?
Yeah, I think Amazon is doing it. I can't remember who. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Doesn't matter. But yeah, it's the comic we're talking about.
It's gonna be a TV show.
It's another Image book. It's about a small town where a priest comes to town to take over for a recently vacated position in their parish, and he starts having these dreams about this black barn, while at the same time, a homeless man is acquiring. Like, no, he's not homeless, but a sort of deranged man.
He's like a schizophrenic.
Yeah, deranged.
Yeah, schizophrenic that like is collecting garbage.
Right. Yeah. Fuck me, deranged. Sorry, he's schizophrenic, but a lot of what he thinks is schizophrenia is actually real. And it's one of those where like, he's seeing real things, but people think he's crazy.
He's having like visions of murders and
in the black barn, and he sees these pieces of trash that he's acquiring. And I won't spoil anymore, but it builds this. You start realizing the pieces are all coming together for a reason that he's building, and what the priest is seeing is it's all connected.
It's like a psychological, like maybe paranormal True Detective.
Yeah. With a much deeper level of horror to it.
Yeah.
It's the thing that proves that, like, yes, comics can be very scary if they want to be.
Yeah.
And I love when they want to be, because they can never, you can't have jump scares in a comic. Like, there are scary like panels.
No, because you're reading it.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. You can have
Yeah.
like page turn reveals where you're like, whoa, that's creepy.
Yeah.
But you can't have that. So you have to do much more work to make it scary. It has to be unsettling and deeply like affectingly scary, which makes it even more scary to me than like The Grudge or something. That's what made like Haunting of Hill House so good. It didn't need the jump scare. It had some, but
incredibly subtle, just like the actual
terrifying horror.
humor.
Well, though they're so close. But
Well, the actual story is like terrifying.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
not just like, oh, it's a spooky man.
yeah, oh my god.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. I've been making Alex watch a lot of horror. Maybe we'll do an episode about horror movies, our favorite horror stuff coming up.
We can't because we recently watched all the Paranormal Activities.
We watched Ready or Not. We watched
all the Paranormal.
Alex watched half of The Possession.
Last night.
Last night.
I was reading and Nick was just watching a fucking terrifying horror movie.
Yeah, The Possession.
damn it.
I feel like I made you watch a couple other things too, but you've watched Hill House. Anyway, so
Oh, we watched that. What's that Netflix movie that's like a Swedish?
The Ritual.
The Ritual.
Yeah, The Ritual. That's
That
a
movie
scary
is
one too.
fucking terrifying.
Yeah. But
It's like
Gideon
a
Falls.
fucking
Oh,
Swedish
dude,
devil.
yeah. And it's so, and they're just like trapped in the forest. But Gideon Falls, definitely catch up to it. I want to say they're at like issue in early 20s now.
Yeah.
I just grabbed one of the ones I have. This is 16, but I think they're at like 21 or 22 or something like that.
Okay.
So definitely manageable to get back to. And Jeff Lemire, I would also add, if you want like a perfect, just closed loop, it's done, it's come and gone. I think it's like 18 issues. Royal City is Jeff Lemire, and it is one of the saddest things you'll ever read, which is a big thing of his. But
He's real into making you feel like a piece
so
of
good.
shit.
Royal City is basically about a family who's dealing with the death of a son/sibling, and they're all seeing this ghost of him at different points in his life.
It's a real page turner.
It really is, though, because you start.
I haven't
once
read
you
it.
get
I
into
don't
it,
know.
it really is. It's really, really good. And I would
Does
definitely
he
recommend
do
that to
Paper
anybody.
Girls too?
No, that's Brian K. Vaughan.
Oh, okay.
I almost grabbed Paper Girls.
That's
but
the Saga.
yeah, same guy that wrote Saga and Why the Last Man. So, Alex, what's your next one?
The next one I'll do is the new run of Black Panther by Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Oh, yes.
Ta-Nehisi Coates, great author. He did one of the biggest runs of Black Panther ever.
As well as quite a few great books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this new version of Black Panther is like an intergalactic Black Panther. It's not the.
He's also writing Captain America right now, by the way.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
It's not the same Black Panther as like the Marvel movie. Basically, this one takes place like thousands of years in the future. And what? Why are you looking at me weird?
Well, it's where you're at in it. That is part of it. Yes.
Oh, are you way
Yeah.
ahead of me?
Yeah.
Damn it. Well, then maybe you describe it.
Well, he's just writing Black Panther. It's you can talk about like what's great about his writing in it. I think you're reading a part of the intergalactic intergalactic empire of Wakanda. It's like an event that he did.
Oh, okay.
But he does write T'Challa and stuff too.
Oh, okay.
Because he's a multiple runs of Black Panther, like multiple volumes. He's sort of stopped and started.
But yeah, this one is basically like
talk about that.
Wakanda has moved past or has moved out of Earth,
Right.
And basically they are
Years before where we're at too.
Yeah, basically, Wakanda is like intergalactically like what England was in the Age of Exploration.
Yeah.
Where they just started
colonizing.
They just started colonizing everything.
And it's also it's a commentary on that because it's for better or for worse. It's not like they're colonizing and it's always good.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one is just like a real poppy.
Who does the art?
Daniel Acuna.
Oh, okay.
It's very different from like the art that we have talked about in all these books so far.
Yeah.
This one feels more like almost like an animated series, I want to say.
Yeah.
Like a TV show, like animated show.
Yeah, I could see that. He's had that. It's kind of that way the whole way through. It's very cinematic, very it feels like you're watching a film.
Yeah, like there's a whole panel of like a bunch of like it looks like they're like attacking like a Star Destroyer. Like
Oh, yeah.
in this giant panel that I'm showing Nick right now, which the whole left side of the book
Is an ad.
Well, no, the whole left side of the book is that shot,
yeah, and then
the
the right
whole
side.
right side is a fucking Geico ad.
Yeah. I know.
Big two. What are you doing?
And they wonder why people trade weight now.
Oh, trade weight for
Yeah, so you don't get the ads.
yeah.
And then reading trades obviously is dense, but oh boy.
But yeah, it's a really good book. It's one of the better like big two things.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, Ta-Nehisi Coates is just great.
He's great. He's a wonderful writer. And just a fantastic voice to have out there. He's just so knowledgeable. Like he's such a good like culturally, like he's probably like one of the strongest voices out there. And you should be like, he's one of those, like when he talks, you should take notice.
I mean, speaking of that, so he writes Black Panther. My sibling has never read a comic book, and they gave me just a novel written by Ta-Nehisi Coates. It's the one. It's like it's like an African American man writing a letter to his son. Like that's like the novel.
Okay,
I don't know what it is. Here,
I'd have to look at the title.
Start doing your next comic, and then I'll go grab that book really quick.
Oh, okay. So the next one I want to talk about is moving back to Image. And it is one that I feel like doesn't get the hype that it should. It doesn't release very often anymore, so you can easily catch up. I want to say there's maybe 15 or 20 issues total. It's called Injection. It's written by Warren Ellis with art by Declan Shalvey and colors by Jordi Belair.
Okay. Now, I actually have not heard of this one at all.
Oh, really? I think would really like it.
I was looking at your stack and I was like, "Ooh, I've never heard of that one."
It's like a horror version. It's like a more horror, a bit more zany version of the X-Files, kind of.
Oh,
yeah. And it's like this team investigating these crazy events that happen across the world, and like you start to get to the point where you're like, maybe do they cause some of this while they're so desperate to stop some things, do they end up causing other things? Forgive me, we have Alex and I are big St. Louis Battlehawks fans. And
the game already started?
The Battlehawks game has just started.
Well, the TV is behind my back, and Nick keeps
I can barely see it, but
craning his neck to look at it.
But cacaw forever.
Yeah, cacaw forever.
Yeah, and fuck you, Stan Kroenke. Hope you fucking die.
Jesus.
So I don't feel bad about that at
so
all.
Aggressive.
I know. I'm never. I'm a nice person, but there comes a point where just fucking eat shit, Stan Kroenke. But what Ta-Nehisi Coates book is it?
It's called Between the World and Me.
Of course. Yeah.
I need to read this book.
I've heard amazing things
May
about
got it for me a while ago, like for I think my birthday or Christmas.
Dude, that's like a you could power that easily in a day.
I could do this in like a couple hours. It's only like 150 pages.
Yeah, you could easily do it. It's a good little novella. I haven't read that one, but it's
National
a popular
Book Award winner apparently. Well, dude, and a #1 New York Times bestseller.
He's everything he does should be a New York Times bestseller. He's a wonderful writer. Injection is the art.
Can I see the art?
Yeah, of course. The art is great. Declan Shalvey he's an underrated guy, and he's awesome.
Ooh, minimalism.
Yeah, minimalism, but also just it'll explode when it needs to. They deal with some crazy themes, and you have a very
I will say, I don't think I like the lettering.
I'd have to look at it.
The lettering looks like it's like Comic Sans.
Oh, but it's just it. Oh no, it's fine. He's just,
according to you.
Yeah, I think it's good. It matches sort of the tone of the book. But Injection, if you like the X-Files, if you like supernatural, paranormal type stuff, they deal, maybe some like alien stuff, also some sort of like crazy inventors. Like, it's very fun. But it's also like really dark at the same time. And yeah, I would say it's definitely one to pick up. Alex looks like he's out of books, but I got a couple more. I'm gonna talk about.
I didn't grab any more.
But we haven't been going that long. I just want to make sure I give people enough good stuff that they can start on. And we haven't touched on anything DC, so I want to talk about, and I didn't need to bring it because there's just a million, but Batman if you want to start with something that seems like you're just like, yes, I really feel like I'm reading comics, Batman is always an easy one to go to because they always have the best writers, the best artists from DC. You're always going to get like the best of like the DC house style usually, where it like just looks like it should be a comic,
Yeah.
Like you name the best writers, like at least especially in my mind, like Grant Morrison has written a ton of Frank Miller, it's Tom King, fucking Scott Snyder, like these great writers.
You can go back to an episode we've already done, and you can do
Jeff Loeb's Hush. Hush is, what's funny is Hush gets some shit because it got so popular and it's such like a
Well, they made it into like that little animated movie that came out like
recent,
last
though.
year.
Yeah, but I was gonna say like Hush got some shit because like Jim Lee became this sort of like icon for like comic art. So eventually, when that stuff happens, when your stuff becomes like super mainstream, people start knocking it because it's not.
Yeah.
It's too big for them. I've heard a lot of people like Mr. Miracle like trying to be like, okay, but okay, we've heard enough about it. It's like, no, it's great. You just don't like it's like that hipster mentality of like, well, now that it's huge, I hate it.
Hipster comics.
Yeah.
Well, you can also, if you want to talk more about Batman too, you can always go back to I don't remember who wrote it, but Arkham Asylum.
Oh, it's Grant Morrison.
Oh, okay, that is Grant Morrison.
Yeah.
All right. That is, if you want like crazy psychological, like trippy, gonna fuck with your mind art.
Yeah.
It is you have to just read it.
You do. You do.
Like, there's no way to describe. It's like it's a fever dream of like torture.
And some of
it's weird.
And for my money, some of the best art ever to appear in a comic book.
Yeah.
It is insane.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. It feels like a fever dream. And Grant Morrison is one of the weirdest writers out there. Have I ever told you about Batman Zurin R?
I don't believe so.
So there's a point. So Grant Morrison was writing Batman R.I.P. It was like this big event where he killed Batman.
Rest in power.
Yeah, he killed Bruce Wayne. Yeah, rest in power. And you find out that like Batman, he starts to die. You think, or he's like losing his mind, and he's muttering Zurin R repeatedly. And what you find out is, Batman as a character, he's like so meticulous and so planned, and so everything's so perfect that Grant Morrison, it's such like a Doom Patrol move where Batman created a backup personality in case his normal personality was compromised. Where he's like this like hobo Batman that like wears like a bright red suit.
Oh, I've seen this recently.
From what?
I was watching Weekly Planet.
They do. They talk about it in the bat suits.
Yeah, best bat suits of all time.
Yeah, they talk about that one.
It's like a bunch of like trash.
Yeah,
put
he
on
creates.
together.
It's like a hobo Batman.
Yeah, and it's
crazy.
Red, it's a red and yellow.
And he hangs out with Batmite, who's like this little pygmy bat Batmite that like flies around and talks to him. And he's talking about like the purity of like imagination, and dude, it's actually amazing. And people thought it was super weird, and that's probably why I love it. But like. Batman is Tom King's Batman is this like almost 100 issues. They cut it off before that's like 80 something issue epic about the relationship between Batman and Catwoman and how amazing that is. And Grant Morrison's like this sweeping epic that lasted about the same amount of time. Frank Miller's Batman stuff has always been this dark, gritty Batman. Like Dark Knight Returns is one of the most iconic Batman stories ever told, and it's what influenced Batman versus Superman, for better or for worse. But
I mean, a lot of people would argue for sure. Yeah. That's a piece of shit movie.
Yeah, Scott Steiner's Batman was so good. He did the Court of the Owls, which is like a very iconic Batman story where you find out that like Thomas and Martha Wayne were part of this like terrible like Gotham like secret society, and Batman fights
like
them.
Skull and Bonesy,
very much so. And they wear these creepy masks, and it's so good.
Or what's the thing that takes place in California? It's like something Grove. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where it's like a bunch of rich people, and they go to like it's like basically a week-long like summer camp.
Oh,
and they like burn that effigy of an owl.
Yeah, we were watching Top Fives videos, he did a thing about it. Yeah. Oh fuck yeah, I forgot that's called.
God
where
damn
like presidents go and stuff like that.
Yeah. Whatever.
But anyway, but Batman, it's funny because people think of him as like he's very much of like he probably is, I would say, the most famous superhero. Spider-Man or Batman, right? Don't you think those two? Superman, but I don't think people like him as much.
Batman is.
Spider-Man's probably definitely number 2 though. Most popular.
Oh, yeah, that's a hard one. I think Batman, dude. I mean,
no, I'm saying number 2. Batman's probably number 1, and then Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think Superman. He comes up a lot more. You're like, oh, you're no Superman or something like that. But like, nobody likes Superman as much as Batman or Spider-Man or even probably a few other ones.
The fucking shit, dude.
Spider-Man's amazing.
I love Spider-Man.
I think Spider-Man's a bigger deal with kids, and then when you get older, you can realize how like great the darkness is of Batman.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever read a Spider-Man comic.
Well, I will tell you.
Do you have any volumes?
Yeah, Nick Spencer's current Spider-Man run. That it's we'll just use that as another one, and then we'll do these last couple. It's Nick Spencer's current Spider-Man run is amazing. Okay. People love Mark Waid's, and I get it. It's huge, and it's done so much. But Nick Spencer's, when they renumbered from 1. he just really understood Peter Parker. Like, I think that's the best thing about the best Spider-Man comics are people who understand Peter Parker and Spider-Man and how they interact together. There's a really good one where Nick Spencer splits the two, and there's two of them, and there's just Peter Parker and there's just Spider-Man. And like they're running around New York City. It's only about an issue or two. You know, it's just like a little part of one little arc. But no, I would definitely say you can jump onto Nick Spencer's run right now very easily. It's very accessible.
What issue is it at?
Maybe 25.
Okay, so
very
still
accessible.
Very young.
Yeah, especially
very
for
young.
Big Two.
Very,
well, no, it is. For the Big Two, it's very accessible.
So for Big Two, that means it's been out for
probably 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
Because it's Big Two is
every
bi-weekly, right?
No, some comics are like Tom King's Batman was for a long time, but most of the time they're monthly. Monthly, yeah.
That's how Image is pretty exclusively. It's monthly.
And those will drop off and come back, and
and then Image will also be like, okay, we're taking an 8-month break.
Yeah, or like Saga and
oh well, fuck,
maybe forever. And like Southern Bastards will release like an issue like once a year, and it's like part of a current arc. Like it's not like it's not like just a rando. It's like, oh yeah, we're finishing this arc. We're just taking our sweet fucking time to do it. So Spider-Man is another good one to do.
Okay,
I would say Black Panther. Black Panther culturally, I think probably isn't like the most in the zeitgeist, which you talked about. Batman is probably the most like iconic comic to be reading because it's still like continuing the Batman story. And then Nick Spencer's Spider-Man is so good, and it's sort of reinventing like a new modern version of Spider-Man, and it's great. The first thing he did was get Spider-Man and Mary Jane back together. Like he's giving you this new iconic like modern Spider-Man, and it's fucking wonderful.
I'll have to get on.
You should. I have all of it if you want to read it. You know how that goes. You know I have it.
I know.
Yeah. So the next one I want to talk about is actually a Oni Press comic, who is another creator-owned company.
This is probably the last one we should do for the week. I'll say that. Let's save these next two for next time.
Why? We haven't even been going that long.
There we have.
Not really.
Hour 15.
It's not that long. I'm not going to talk super long about these.
Okay.
Why, you just don't want to talk anymore? Jesus, dude.
No.
So the bunker
we've talked about so much. I think it's like if we give people like 8 comics to read, like 8 volumes, it's like, well, we're just going right back to inaccessible.
No, we're not. I mean, you just pick what sounds good to you.
No.
You just, Well, I think somebody is just hungover.
Well, well, we haven't mentioned it yet.
Outed. So
you're not wrong. Well, the Battlehawks are on.
They are. They're playing currently, but they just started. And looks like they're about to punt. They are.
So the bunker.
You go, Marquette King. So the bunker. It's an Oni Press comic. It's written by Joshua Hale Fialkov with art by Joe Infernari, and it's really, the art is like super pencil heavy, like really pencil-y. I love it. It's a story. It's a really cool story about these. I think it's come and gone, so you can get it's 4 volumes total, I think. It's about these kids who are out in the woods, and they find this bunker. They go down inside of it, and they realize that they created it, and they wrote all these letters to themselves from the future telling them that they're going to destroy the world.
Oh, Jesus. Is it so the bunker that they discover, is it the bunker from the title of the comic?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Yes, that's the one that they find. They find these letters from themselves telling them, hey, you guys are the ones that are going to cause the end of the world. And it's about them like going from like tracking from that point and like moving forward, and they start to mistrust each other, and some fall in love with each other, and they also like you find out that one of them is the one that's the cause of the end of the world. And that doesn't give anything away. And it becomes this insane, amazing conspiracy, like massive mystery epic. It's so good. It's so criminally underrated.
Really cool.
Yeah, and it's just one of those ones. It's a great story, but like Oni Press doesn't have the press, like the largest like following. And
I've never heard of Oni Press.
Yeah, they do some good books.
And I read comics.
Yeah, they do some good books. I think Oni's actually was recently purchased by Lion Forge.
Oh, the St. Louis company?
One. Yeah, I think they purchased Oni. So they'll continue on, I think, as an imprint of Lion Forge. But so the bunker is one that I don't want to give too much away because it's so like
The artwork
information
it's
heavy.
very Dr. Star. It's like a more colorful Dr. Star.
Just like insanely heavy pencils,
Crazy heavy pencils.
Like a sort of minimalist color. And also minimalist in terms of like it's another one where it'll just like sort of like Descender, where it'll sort of drop off in the middle of panels, like they won't even look like they're finished.
Yeah.
It's really really good. So we'll do these. We'll just do this last one. We'll end on this. Well, I'll meet Alex in the middle. We'll just end on this last one. I'll have you read that at some point because that's my favorite artwork of all time.
Let's talk about this one next week.
Oh, okay.
So next week we'll talk about Black Science.
Black Science, written by Rick Remender with art by Matteo Scalera.
Rick Remender, who is one of my
colors
favorite.
by Dean White. So we're going to talk about what I think is one of my just all-time favorite books, and it only exists as a comic.
It's a great one.
It's called Sex Criminals.
Yes,
and
big hard sex criminals.
No, it's called Sex Criminals.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that's what they put this on the hardcovers just to be because it's called Big Hard Sex Criminals for a big hardcover book version.
Yeah.
It's a book about two people who fall in love and can stop time when they orgasm, and they rob banks. And there's time police who use dildos as batons, and there's so much shit.
It's a fun one.
It's written by Matt Fraction with art by Chip Zdarsky, who's one of the funniest people. They're both one of the funniest people that you're going to find. They've both done iconic runs of other stuff. Chip's usually a writer more so than an artist.
I forgot that I've read this entire big hardcover.
Have you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The hardcovers also, if you take the jacket off, double as other books in case you don't want people to know that you're reading them. What's that one?
So this is volume 1, right?
Yeah.
And the book is Down Boy.
Yeah.
When is it a good time to euthanize your pet?
Yeah.
And then it says, is it never not a good time?
I think we did.
Is it ever not a good time?
I think we did an episode about Sex Criminals, didn't we?
I think we've mentioned it before. We've definitely mentioned it before.
I just want to say also, my favorite thing is all of the stuff that's written on here is very funny.
Yeah.
And so when they introduce, instead of Matt Fraction, it's Dr. Matt Fraption. And it says acclaimed author of Heavy Petting, Battling Obesity in Your Pet. And Chad Zdarsky, acclaimed author of Pussy Patrol, Wrangling Neighborhood Feral Cats While Getting Mad Laid. It's so
they're very funny books.
It's so funny. I don't understand how they make it that good and keep it going.
Yeah, they're very funny guys. Their Twitters are fucking hilarious.
Yeah, Chip Zdarsky got kicked off Twitter at one point because they saw that his cover photo on it was just him ass up in an infinity pool.
That wouldn't get you kicked off Twitter. There's
no way
that's why.
It got him suspended.
You can post hardcore porn on Twitter.
I don't think you're supposed to.
Yeah, you can.
Maybe you have to say like not safe for work or something. I don't know.
No.
I think that was the thing though.
Somebody
reported it, I think.
There's no way that's
I think somebody reported his picture though.
Oh.
And because he has his account back.
Yeah.
It got him suspended.
Dude, Ted Cruz was liking
he was.
Stepmom
Dude,
porn
Carlos
on Twitter.
Martinez was liking some crazy shit.
Yeah.
What's up, Carlos?
You can do anything on Twitter.
Oh yeah. So Sex Criminals is it's great. Out there bananas that
The artwork is terrific.
Art's terrific. The writing is insanely good.
It's really colorful.
There's
really
a really great scene early on where they go through all these different sex positions that you've never heard of.
Oh fuck yeah, they do.
Yeah, putting your head in a bag while somebody farts into it and getting pissed in your mouth. It's called like piss. No, it's pissing into somebody's butthole. Like there's all kinds of weird shit. And it's just so. It's also weirdly like super femme and super like it's like there's a lot of queer like theory in it and stuff like that. It's really really good, and it's because it's also poking fun at like this like the sort of like standard for what you think like sex should be. It's the main characters are a guy and a girl who fuck a lot, but like everything around them is basically being like, it doesn't have to be like this normal just like standard sex. Like it's and so they start experimenting and
weird
it's so amazing. I would tell you don't need to know anything else about it. You don't have to know anything about comics. If you know where a penis goes or a vagina, what they can do, then you can definitely like this book.
It's a fun one.
And you like to have fun?
Yeah.
I would also add really quick the Flintstones. I forgot about that.
Oh, we did a whole podcast about it.
We did. I'm saying
Nick, we're already on a whole podcast.
I think we also did Sex Criminals at one point too.
I think we did too.
But so you can listen to our thing about the Flintstones, but the Flintstones is also very funny. It's Mark Russell. I forgot who does the
Another
art.
Eisner winner.
Yeah, for
like
comedy
Mr.
series.
Miracle.
Yeah. So definitely go check that one out too. It's just a straight comedy, super satirical, very funny take on the Flintstones. It's exactly what it sounds like it is, but also not at all what it sounds like.
There's that great part about how like people think it's weird that you only think that a man and a woman should be married.
Yeah, and they rail against it. It's the priest who keeps reinventing his religion.
Yeah.
to match what he thinks the people want.
It's like a little it's the elephant vacuum that becomes God.
Oh my no. Oh yeah, that one point too.
Yeah.
But there also is that really sad scene where the vacuum is talking to the bowling ball. And it's just like, I just get shoved in the closet and my only hope is when you get put in here with me. You're like, oh my god, because they use animals as their so sad. Anyway, I have to go change Alex's diaper and spank his little ass because he's being a little shit and wants to end the podcast
so
early.
tuckered out.
Yeah, already at 12:30 in the afternoon.
Shut
up. So anyway, next week we're going to talk about black science and horror films and horror series and stuff on horror in general.
Well, which means that we're going to be talking about Immortal Hulk too.
Oh yeah,
that's fucking
another good one to
awesome.
check out.
Okay.
So everybody, just like be cool and like don't be an asshole.
Yeah, be super chill.
Yeah, we be just like the lit people out there. Just be lit as shit.
All right, we got to go watch the Battlehawks.
We do.
Caw.
Love you.
Love you too.
Okay. Oh wait, no, you can find us on Instagram at Not That It Matters Pod, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, Not That It Matters Pod.
You can email Alex at panu.alex@gmail.com.
Damn. You can email Nick at theNickLanham@gmail.
I encourage you to do so, and you can find us on Instagram at Augie Panu, AUGGIEPANU, and me at the Nick Lanham, THENICKLANHAM.
I almost spelled your last name
I know.
wrong.
Even I was like, "Where's that go? Where's the N in there?" So, anyways,
boy.
we love you. We hope you have a great day or have a bad day, whatever you're gonna do. Goodbye.
Bye.